we will be continuing with a new topic, that is ecosystem process. And this is our fourth lecture. In this particular lecture module, we will finish key ecosystem process and hierarchy in ecosystem processes. If you remember, we had introduced the concept of ecosystem process earlier, where we talked about the process as an event or interactions between those biotic and abiotic elements and resulting in functions. So these are the some key ecosystem processes which we have chosen to discuss with you together. First one is the photosynthesis, then nutrient cycling, energy flow, water cycle, decomposition, respiration, herbivory and carnivory, and succession. And all these ecosystem processes individually can be part of functions, or else they themselves can have a very direct functional output. So we start with the very basic, the primary production, that's the function which happens through this process, that is the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the biological process by which plants, algae and some bacteria convert light energy, carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. So this is a chemical change for the primary production. Photosynthesis has two main stages, which we will be discussing one by one. First one is the light dependent reaction. Chlorophyll within those leaves are capturing the solar energy to produce high energy molecules like adenosine triphosphate and nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. So this is a very, very important shift from solar energy to the first round of chemical energy. Next stage will be the Kelvin scale, where this ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and the nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate are used to fix carbon dioxide into glucose for the plant growth and energy. What ecosystem role it helps? The photosynthesis, it improves crop varieties and the higher yields, strengthening food security by boosting agricultural productivity and resource use efficiency. We can go for several examples, like in the tropical rainforest, dense canopy of trees supports high primary productivity, fueling biodiversity. Next one, we will come to the process, that is the nutrient cycling. You know the nutrient cycling because we discussed the particular function of nutrient retention and recycling. Nutrient cycling is a process of moving nutrients through biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem, supporting the function of, as I mentioned, nutrient retention and recycling. Now a very beautiful term has been introduced for us, that is the biogeochemical cycle. I will discuss this. This particular cycle refers to the cyclic exchange of major elements like oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur between organisms and the physical environment. So all these major elements, which is oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur, they are the chemical part. And the organisms are the bio part and the physical environment is the geo part. So that's the way biogeochemical cycle is actually referred in this case of nutrient cycling. The process, nutrient uptake through absorption or consumption, that happens in the nutrient cycling. Nutrient storage and release happens, and transformation can be classified under the two types of these nutrients. One is the gaseous one, that's the nitrogen and the carbon cycle, which through different phases it comes back to the atmosphere. And the other one is the sedimentary, sulfur phosphorus cycle, suppose that, and ultimately at the rocks or at the soil they get sedimented. And what are the primary roles they play? The advantage, primary production rate, it influences continuity in food webs, balancing ecosystem stability, nurturing biodiversity. Where we can find them in wetland, nitrogen fixation by bacteria ensures nutrient availability for aquatic plant. So just have a look quickly at this particular diagram where we can see that this nitrogen cycle, you can see the volcano, you can see the lightning, they are actually creating ionization process, they are helping in that. And here is the rain, through precipitation also the nitrogen can come down, and once it is coming down there is the nitrogen fixing bacteria in soil, and nitrogen fixing bacteria also in the roots of the trees. So all this nitrogen comes back and nitrogen fixation happens and we get the ammonia here. There is also another process through which we get the ammonia, that is ammonification. Dead animals and plants, urine that gets decomposed, and through ammonification process we get the ammonia. All these things get assimilated through the plants primarily, and then this also comes back or goes back to the atmosphere. This ammonia, now we are having the nitrification process through which nitrites of different levels we get, and then that can be further go out of the system through denitrification. Fossil fuels are there, very important. They are also keeping this nitrogen in certain forms within it. This is one very important thing in today's time, that is the fertilizers. This is artificially infusing nitrogen within the cycle. So on the right hand side you can see very quickly nitrogen fixation, nitrification, assimilation, ammonification and denitrification. Go through them. If you have any problem, please come back. We would explain them. Next process is energy flow process. Energy flow is the process of transferring solar energy from producers to consumers and decomposers, supporting the function of energy transfer and support for biological work essential for ecosystem growth and maintenance. In ecosystems, energy flow through trophic levels from producers to consumers, with about 90% lost as heat. As we discussed, not only heat, we said also discussed about metabolic activities due to the metabolism at each level, which limits the number of trophic levels and shapes food web. And this process is happening through the sourcing from the sun, primary production and capture through photosynthesis, storage and transfer of energy, and energy loss. And it actually helps the ecosystem through controlling trophic structure, productivity, ecological efficiency and stability. Like grass is supporting the herbivores, like lambs are eating them, which are preyed upon by carnivores like lions. So it continues, the energy flow continues. Again, if we would like to know this particular thing better, let us go for a graphical help. We are only again mentioning the same phrases, that is the trophic levels, food chains and webs, and energy pyramid. Let me explain you this particular image, energy flow model. Solar radiation, the starting point, we know this. And now from this particular model will always show the arrow of the path. So this solar radiation is being trapped by the producers. So is the gross primary productivity. You can just see here gross primary productivity. Rest of the things are lost through the respiration. Then in this process also, from radiation to the producer also, there will be non-utilized. You just see non-utilized. That energy will also come back to the atmosphere. From the producers, it goes through the herbivory process to the herbivores, through carnivory process to the carnivores. They assimilate and rest of the energy goes out, and which is not assimilated, it's not utilized, comes back to the system. And there are the decomposers who are taking the herbivores and carnivores after their life cycle, and that again will utilize the process, and this energy flow model will continue. So that's the way we can easily remember this energy flow model. The fourth one is the water cycle. We have discussed, if you remember, in our previous discussions, water purification. And in that particular model, we had actually discussed all the processes in details. So here we can go quickly through this water cycle, which is a continuous process. And it happens between earth and atmosphere system, and through evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, and runoff, supporting the functions like regulating water distribution and water purification. And the processes involve solar energy, which drives the evaporation, transpiration, water vapor condenses to form clouds, precipitation returns water to land and water bodies, and water infiltrates through the soil or runs off the surface. What ecosystem role it plays? Maintains the water balance, supports aquatic and terrestrial habitats, and regulates climate, very importantly, and nutrient it can retain. Example, I have already discussed this particular path with you in the last one. So, it's the same one, evaporation to, again, back to evapotranspiration. Very nicely, again, we can see the entire process through a graphical image. Condensation, I can start with this. Precipitation is happening, and you just see it's a cycle. So, through evaporation, it is actually getting enough moisture to get condensed. Moisture is also getting traveled to another place so that the water distribution happens. And when, other than the precipitation in the rain form, we can also have the snowing. So the storage will be here in the form of ice, whereas here the storage will be in the ocean in the form of water. So these are the storage happening, precipitation on land, surface runoff is happening, freshwater storage is happening, subsurface flow is also happening, ground flow is happening, ground aquifer is getting recharged, which is very important. It's a very important natural storage system so that you can tap when you need it. Evapotranspiration is happening from the soil and as well as from the water bodies. So with this, we can remember all the processes involved in it and the function of water distribution and water purification, what this hydrological cycle does for us. The last but one is the decomposition. It is a complex and multi-step process of breaking down complex organic matter by soil organisms to release the nutrients for renewed uptake by the plants. What are the sub-processes within this decomposition? Let us go through it one by one. Fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humification, mineralization. And in each one you can see, like we discussed in the energy flow, heat is coming out. We discussed in the decomposer that heat is coming out. So first it is happening, that is the fragmentation. Complex organic compounds is getting fragmented into smaller particles. Then is the leaching, water soluble inorganic nutrients. Then the catabolism. Catabolism is nothing but the bacterial and fungal enzymes who degrade detritus into simpler inorganic substances. So now the inorganic one is getting further simpler form. Next stage is the humification, accumulation of a dark colored amorphous substance called humus. This is a very important stage. And next one is the mineralization. Humus is further getting degraded by some microbes and release of inorganic nutrients happens. And then the minerals are actually getting deposited. So the ecosystem role it actually plays very important. Suppose the ecosystem function of nutrient recycling and soil fertility maintenance. And the example like in the forest ecosystem, you can see the detritus food chain is surviving, dead leaves, fungi, collembola and the predatory mite. That's the chain. That's the way it works. Next, I would like to come that is the respiration. Respiration, you can see on the right hand side, there is a very beautiful image which is showing the soil respiration process. One by one, you can check that the root of the tree, the soil, the microbes, how they are taking different roles, and that through respiration from the soil earth, this interaction is happening. So it's the soil earth interaction as well. And definitely environment to soil, that is also happening. So what happens in the respiration? The energy is lost from the ecosystem when organic matter is oxidized back to the carbon dioxide by combustion or by respiration of plants, animals and microbes. The process involves living organisms. They convert glucose and oxygen into the energy which we have discussed earlier, ATP, and they release carbon dioxide and water as byproducts. Very important ecosystem role it plays. This is essential for cellular functions and energy flow within ecosystem, supporting growth, reproduction and survival organism. One very small example we can cite here, the action can be a deer consumes plants and its cells gets break down glucose into glucose and energy during the cellular respiration. What is the outcome? We get the CO2 and energy which is released back to the atmosphere. So we are going to discuss two more important processes. One is herbivory and carnivory. Herbivory refers to the ingestion of living plants or plant pods by heterotrophs. Carnivory refers to the next level, the ingestion of herbivores and other heterotrophs by animals. Primarily animals. Ecosystem role it plays, role of herbivory is in seed dispersal and plant diversity. Consumers play active roles in maintenance and regulation of energy flow through ecosystem. Both the processes are essential components in the food chain and help to regulate the population, transfer energy, and recycle nutrients within the ecosystem. So, trophic level maintenance is very important. So, one very interesting example I can share with you here, the herbivory in different ecosystems, they don't really have a similar share. Like in the desert scrub, only 2 to 3% herbivory happening. 4 to 7% happen to the forest, 10 to 15% happen to the temperate grassland. Whereas 30 to 60% herbivory happens on the tropical grasslands and the grasslands managed for cattle raising because it's a human managed system. The last one today is the ecological succession. I need not to go into details of it. You already know what is succession. We have also discussed the climax, that's the balanced community, the process, primary and secondary succession, and we will have wonderful examples in this in our successive models. We will discuss them. What important ecosystem role it plays? The succession. It supports the functions like ecosystem stability, nutrient recycling, habitat creation, energy flow regulation, and resilience recovery. Any eruption, volcanic eruption in a place called Krakatoa in 1883, very old example, but it showed, it gave time to the ecologists to understand that what is the how this succession works. So from that barren volcanic land, it came back to the rich forest with long time. So this was the main processes discussion. Now I will go for the next level where we will try to understand there are so many processes. How that hierarchy actually works in this ecosystem process. There are four different process hierarchy. Primary one, that's a foundational one. Based on the foundation, secondary process happens. tertiary happens based on the secondary one, emergent or ecosystem level, and the meta level happens, which are culmination of all these processes. Let us go for the primary process, which is photosynthesis, that the primary production. All of us, we know that. Now, when we try to go forward, very quickly, let us recap here that net primary produce is actually gross primary produce minus the respirational energy. Come for the secondary one, these are depending on the primary one, they also interact with the primary one, and they support material exchange and the system stability. Decomposition, which we have discussed in detail, respiration we have discussed in detail, herbivory and carnivory. The process I am mentioning, there are the herbivorous plants, animals, carnivorous animals as well. But the process is herbivory and carnivory, which gets support from the very first thing, foundational one, that is the photosynthesis. You can see here another very interesting image we have shared here. That is the producers, from that the herbivores, carnivores are taking advantage. It is coming back to the decomposer, and the nutrients are coming back through this process. The third level is the tertiary process, which depends on these secondary processes like succession, which we discussed, ecosystem resilience. Today we will discuss, or maybe in our next class, we will discuss in details this ecosystem resilience, ability to recover from disturbance. Biogeochemical cycles, which I discussed in details with you. So all these are tertiary processes which are depending on the secondary one. Next one is the meta level, which are global or cross systems. So it will be easy for us to understand them once we go for the examples, like global carbon cycle, climate regulation, interaction of ecosystems with the atmosphere, such as forests acting as a carbon sink. That is a very strong climate regulation tool. The last one we would like to have a discussion on, that is the biodiversity maintenance, which is very important in today's time. And this particular process ensures species interactions which sustains the ecosystem functions worldwide. Why we should understand this hierarchy, how it helps us? It helps us in understanding the interdependence between different processes and the functions, like photosynthesis and the decomposition, and how the energy transfer happens, nutrient cycle flows. So all these things are very important. That interdependency hierarchy help us to understand that with clarity. Next one is the systemic analysis. The ecologists who are doing research, it is very important for them to understand the scales and the different levels. Based on this understanding only, they will be bringing out different models on the system by geochemical cycles, and this simplifies the complex ecosystem organization for the modeling purpose. Last one is the ecosystem management, prioritizing the protection of primary processes like photosynthesis, nutrient cycle, ensuring higher level ecosystem functions of food production, climate regulation. Everything can be sustained once we understand the hierarchy better. So this was related to the ecosystem process. And before finishing this part, we would like to come to the last part of this today's discussion, that is line of difference. Sometimes they really sounds very similar. Some of the sources also which you will go through, sometimes they also get confused. So it is very important to us to have the clarity which is under process and how to understand the function. Photosynthesis and the provision of food. We have discussed it. So let us see them from the lens of process and function. If photosynthesis is the process, then the function we are referring to, obviously the primary one, the provision of food. So it describes the how energy enters an ecosystem via producers like plants and algae. Grass in a savanna converts sunlight into chemical energy. That's a good example of photosynthesis process. And the provision that grass is now actually support the herbivores, the zebras, and forming the base of the food chain. So that's the way you can easily understand the dependency between the process and functions, and we can easily remember them. Another group of examples I would like to share with you, that is it's a marine ecosystem. You can see the deep sea, you can see the coral reef, sea grasses, mangroves, and the land. And so many different functions are happening in each level. Like in the land and mangrove, that particular border area, we see the sediments, nutrient cycles, they are very important. Whereas when we come for the coral reef and the seagrass, that border, we see again the sediment is important, nutrient cycle, organic material that is getting exported, storm buffering, habitat for migratory species, and the larval export. So these are certain, each one of them are subsystems but equally important to understand the relation between sea and land. So if we go for these coral reefs, the process are they are supporting the nutrient retention and recycling that function through nutrient cycling and provide habitats for the marine species, which we have discussed here. And function, they protect the coastline from the wave action, support the fisheries, and are a source of tourism income. In today's time, actually ocean supports lot of food for the human community. Another community I brought, that is the mangrove community for the discussion, where the process are mangrove trap sediments. So they help in the function of soil formation and maintenance and recycle nutrients. So nutrient retention and recycling function they are supporting. And the function they provide, this ecosystem, they protect coastlines from erosion, provide habitats for marine life, and support livelihoods through fisheries. So let us understand this particular process and function in a tabular form, the difference. By definition, process are the actions or interactions, function is the result. Focus of ecosystem process is how ecosystem works, whereas the function is why ecosystem matters to us, what we get out of it. The nature is mechanistics and biological or chemical phenomena under the process, whereas the function has a nature, that is the role or supports it is extending to us. How we measure process? We measure through rates, rate of photosynthesis, rate of nutrient uptake, like that. Whereas we try to measure functions through the amount of biomass produced, quality of water filtered, all these things we try to measure through the benefits. Human relevance, not always we are very much aware about the processes, but we are quite aware about the functions, ecosystem services, that is very important for us. Examples, we have already given many. On the left hand side also you can see, and for the functions also you can see carbon sequestration, climate regulation, etc. So with this, we can see there are a good list of references. You please look at them and try to read them one by one as it is possible, and try to come back to us with your questions. And I would like to thank you.